If everyone can find their seats. Okay. I think we can go on the record now. Good evening, everyone. Today is December 9th, 2024, and the current time is 7:12 p.m. The Missouri Public Service Commission has set this time for a local public hearing to give members of the public a chance to comment about the application in file number EA-2024-0302, which is captioned as, "In the matter of the application of Ameren Transmission Company of Illinois for a certificate of convenience and necessity under Section 393.170.1 RSMo, relating to transmission investments in Northwest and Northeast Missouri." The Missouri Public Service Commission regulates investor-owned utility companies in Missouri and ensures that rates are just and reasonable. The Commission also regulates the quality of service and safety of the operations of investor-owned utilities. The Commission is made up of 5 commissioners: Chair Kayla Hahn and Commissioners Maida Coleman, Jason Holzman, Glenn Kolkmeyer, and John Mitchell. The Commissioners are appointed by the Governor to fixed terms and then confirmed by the Senate. The Commissioners employ a staff of engineers, accountants, attorneys, financial analysts, and other specialists in the field of utility regulation. With me today are Commissioners Kolkmeyer and Mitchell in person, as well as online, Chair Hahn and Commissioner Coleman. And Commissioners, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to interrupt me and ask them.
Well, Holzman's on as well.
Oh, and Holzman is also appearing virtually. My name is Riley Fuel, and I'm the regulatory law judge presiding over this hearing. This is an official hearing of the Missouri Public Service Commission, and the statements and testimony of witnesses will be recorded by the court reporter, who is also virtual, and they must be given under oath or affirmation. The Commission has not made any decisions in this case, and neither the Commissioners nor myself can answer any questions about the issues of the case today, because the Commissioner must remain until the evidence is gathered and presented. As we want to provide all attendees an adequate opportunity to speak tonight, we will limit the time for testimony to only 3 minutes. If you or someone you know would like to make additional comments, there is a Consumer Comments tab that can be reached via the Commission's website, psc.mo.gov. On the right side of the homepage, there's a link titled Submit Comments. Click on that link to submit your comments and make sure that you are referencing this case number, EA-2024-0302. There will also be another local public hearing tomorrow that is virtual and may be easier to attend or also speak at. It will be held at noon. The court reporter is transcribing this hearing so that the Commission may review and read the comments. Commissioners, would you like to make any opening remarks?
Yes, thank you, Judge, and welcome. And on behalf of the entire Commission, I would like to thank you for coming out tonight to share your thoughts and opinions about this matter with us. This is the very beginning of the process for the Commission, and it's a very important part of the process, because it's really the only time that we get to hear from you and hear from you in person, and we value your opinions and thoughts on the matter and appreciate you sharing them with us. I know it can be a little bit intimidating to speak in public, so if you're uncomfortable doing that, the judge has given some instructions, and I'm sure we'll repeat those instructions before the end of the evening on how to provide your comments through the website. So at any rate, regardless of how you communicate those comments, it's very important that we hear them, and that we hear them from you at this part of the process. Thank you.
Okay. And Ameren, would you like to make any opening remarks?
Nothing more than what we said earlier. Again, we appreciate the PSC for helping to put this on, the local public hearing. Appreciate all the community and local landowners coming out to provide the feedback. And we're happy to again answer questions after the fact, continue to show individual property impacts on our computers out in the hallway after everybody's gotten a chance to read their testimony in.
Thank you. And the commission staff.
Just simply have an entry of appearance for when you're ready, Judge.
And Office of the Public Counsel.
Hi guys. Again, I said this a little bit earlier. I just want to ensure that all of your comments, questions, concerns are being heard. If you don't feel as though they are being heard, come speak to me and I will make sure to get your information so we can have more of a conversation later. Thank you.
Sorry, I should have asked for entries of appearance as well. Ameren, if you can enter your appearance.
Thank you, Judge. On behalf of Ameren Transmission Company of Illinois, ATXI, Jason Kumar, spelled Kumar. My business address is 1901 Shoto Avenue, Chouteau Avenue. That's St. Louis, Missouri, 63103.
Okay, thank you. And commission staff.
Thank you, Judge. My name is Travis Pringle. I am attorney with the staff of the Public Service Commission. My contact information is 200 Madison Street, P.O. Box 360, Jefferson City, Missouri, 65102.
And the Office of Public Counsel.
My name is Anna Martin. I am the associate attorney with the Office of the Public Counsel, and I believe that our address and information is on the EFIS website.
Thank you. Are there any interveners present who would like to make an entry of appearance? Okay, hearing none. For those who would like to provide comments today, I'm going to call the names listed on the sign-up sheet in the order they appear. And I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's names. When I call your name, please come down to the microphone. I will then place you under oath and ask you to state and spell your name, and then you can offer your comments to the commission. As I previously stated, we are limiting comments to 3 minutes today so that everyone has an adequate chance to be heard, and we are unable to answer any questions until the case is resolved or the evidence is presented. Please remain at the podium after your remarks until you have been excused by the commission because we may have questions for you. And if the attorneys have any questions, they can let me know at that time as well. Would Steve Massop come to the microphone? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give are the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you please state and spell your name?
Steve Massop, M-A-S-S-O-P.
Okay. You may proceed with your comments.
We have three pieces of property north of Highway 46, north of Allendale, Missouri. We have one piece of property, the transmission line is going to parallel on the neighbor's property. We're within 125 feet of that line. And so technically with them, the transmission company says that it's okay to be that close. We asked them officially, both sides earlier, what kind of distance? They said, well, 150 feet. Well, that's only 75 feet if that's all the right of way you have, correct? And neither side could legally or honestly answer what is safe for our families to be within that property. How close is it? Nobody gave us a definitive exact footage for our property line. Two pieces of property they're going to cross. There's a distribution line where they're proposing to put this. We have public water, rural water buried in the same area. When I asked them earlier what kind of distance are we going to be out in the field, couldn't answer that it's going to be in the 150-foot line. Are we going to be 75 feet or 150 feet or 300 feet out into the fields? It's going to make a huge difference on our farming operation there. One piece of the property, excuse me, two pieces of the property are CRP. I've got a contract with the federal government on that already. So if they take 1.5 acres off of this, it's not for 1 year, it's 10 years. I go back and pay for the previous part of it and the post part of it. So I was gonna lose 15 acres, not 1.5 acres they're gonna have to do. And I asked them that question, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, was my basic answer I got from them. So we have concerns on what's going on here and how they're gonna go about doing this. You know, maintenance and everything else on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay. You may be seated.
Thank you.
Jim Workman? Walkner, sorry. Okay. Would you like to admit or offer that exhibit? Yeah. Are there any objections to this exhibit? Sure. Yeah, if they can have one as well. Oh, hold on 1 second, sir. I'm sorry.
I came here and I was kind of
Oh,
upset.
Can you raise your right hand?
Oh, sure.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give are the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And can you please state and spell your name?
It's William.
Can you state it into the microphone? I'm sorry.
William. I go by Jim Walkner, W-O-C-H-N-E-R.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
When I came here, I was kind of upset because the way the notice has been handled on this, I think it's totally insufficient. The original notice of the meeting, which we just found out tonight, is where you've got the best chance to make changes to this line if you've got some reason for it. I didn't get the notice. I got the notice 2 days after the meeting. And it was sent by certified mail. Return receipt requested. They knew that that notice was not received. And there are other people in the same boat. They sent them until too late to get the meeting there. They cavalier, hide the ball attitude. They got it after the fact. They knew I didn't get it? Did they make any attempt to call me and let me have some input into this? No. That kind of makes me kind of mad. Because they got 2.5 miles of line going on this property that my family owns. And they don't even give me notice of the hearing. That's just not right. And then I called up the Public Service Commission and asked the ombudsman, can I be a party to this? And I was told no, I can't intervene. The commission doesn't let individual landowners intervene, which means that I don't get notices, so I could be timely informed. I don't have access to all the testimony because all of it's confidential. Now, maybe it's confidential, but I can't imagine that if you're party, you don't get to see it. I mean, it makes no sense. So I'm totally constrained as to what I can do or how I can protect my interests in this matter. Then they take a look at what they've done, and they go over open fields, in the middle of open fields, put these tall towers up, where you've got people trying to farm. They're going over a 10-acre pond. And you just heard, they don't know, and I know the testimony on electricity. Nobody knows how close you can get to an electric utility line of this size and be safe. There isn't any judgment on that at this time. Some people say it's dangerous, some people say it's not dangerous. But you wouldn't put your kid under it. I wouldn't put my grandkid under there. We got this grandkid at home who's sick. He's crying because they're going to take away his pond. He wanted to get well and go up and fish on this pond. And they don't even give us notice of it. And I can't intervene, so I don't get notice. And they're taking the pond, they go through the open fields. This area up here is largely agriculture and recreational. You take that away from it, it really doesn't have much. It's pretty isolated. The isolation is part of it as long as it's rigid agriculture and recreational. Put this line through here, you really kind of damage that whole atmosphere of this property up here. I just bought this one piece of property. I probably wouldn't have bought it if they'd known they were going to put a 145 kilowatt line on it. Did they put I didn't get notice on the one property. The one property I didn't get any notice on. The other one was late. So anyhow, I've kind of set out what I'm concerned about in my meeting, and I can't remember what I said because I'm kind of nervous about this, but I would say that taking property is a very significant thing. That's why it was put both in the constitutions in the United States and in Missouri. To take property, you gotta provide due process. Where's our due process? Where do the landowners get to have meaningful comments made to your complaints? I mean, they'll say they'll change this, but most often they don't change it. I don't think they're being honest when they say they're gonna change this. I really don't. I think they're gonna deny you because it's more efficient, it's cheaper. Now, is that where the commission comes down? Is this, they can put it any place they want to, no matter how bad it inconveniences the voters and the landowners and taxpayers in this state? Is that what you're saying to me? If it was, I wish you'd write it out for me because I'd like to publish it. But I don't think it is. I think somehow there has to be an accommodation. There has to be transparency. And I told this lady, I hate the word transparency because it's used so much and it's used for everything. It's kind of devalued. But,
Mr. Walkner, I hate to cut you off, but
okay,
I think you're past your time.
I'll be past, but this is not transparent. This is opaque.
Thank you, sir. And would any of the parties like to adopt this and present this testimony he'd given as well, the handwritten?
Staff has no objection to it, Judge. I do saying,
Sure.
Is there an approach you'd like us to take with it, or?
Would the Office of Public Counsel like to present it? And
Well, the Office of the Public Counsel at this time has not taken any position. I think that it's always a positive, if an individual wants to bring in his own testimony or her own testimony or their own testimony, I think that the Office of the Public Counsel supports it. It's hard to say because it does present a stance, and
Sure.
it's hard for the OPC to be able to take a particular stance at this time.
I would recommend, Judge, if this is something the commission believes is necessary for its information, it could be a commission exhibit.
sure, we'll admit it that way. Exhibit 1 is admitted as a commission exhibit. Would Mark Harding come to be sworn in? Hi, if you can come to the microphone. Sorry, since the court reporter is by WebEx, it's easier for her to hear it through the microphone. So,
Okay, sure.
if you'd raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give are the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you. Can you please state and spell your name?
Mark Harding, M-A-R-K, H-A-R-D-I-N-G.
You may proceed.
I do have an exhibit I'd like to enter.
Okay.
How do I do that?
Yeah, if you can give the parties each a copy. And if I can have one as well. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Okay.
My concerns.
Hold on 1 second, sir. I'll give the parties a second to go through it. Are there any objections to that being admitted as a commission exhibit as well?
No objection from staff.
No objection from the OPC.
None from the company, Your Honor.
Okay, we can admit that as exhibit 2. Okay, Mr. Harding, you may proceed. Sorry.
Okay, and I do have more copies of that if there's anybody that would be interested in them. I want to draw your attention to the specific area on this map. This map was used extensively by Ameren on their website for their public house advertisements and so forth. It's the map that I showed earlier. And that's the map that we relied on to know where this route is going for our own property. And if I'll draw your attention to the skinny line right here between the two larger rectangles. And my property lies in the gap, the white area. So my property was never in this area. And we monitored this because it's the only thing we had to go by, because Ameren didn't provide a lot of specificity. So we used this and we did some overlays. And what I've handed you is in that specific area, and on one of the pages you'll see where my property is outlined. And I want to draw your attention to between the two red hash lines on the front page. So it's the top page. And that is an overlay of the geographic area, the reality, versus and overlaid with this map. And then if you proceed through there, you will see how the maps are all consistently showing that area. And so when they rerouted, this is the area that we take issue with of the reroute. The original route was DO-27. It was after 26 previous efforts had been abandoned. They settled on a DO-27, and that's what they held open houses about and so forth. When they did the reroute, and you can see it, but it's a little difficult to see, it's the purple line, and the key is on the bottom. You can see the purple line is the reroute that goes outside of the mapped area. That was the shocking part to those of us who weren't included in the original area, therefore saw no need to attend any open houses. And had we have attended, they would have been discussing not that area because it was not developed until after May 1 of this year. So we want fairness. In developing this reroute, there was an oversight or an error. If you'll notice the house, there's a blue dot on that front page. That's a lake. The house right beside it is a new house that was not included in their analysis when they decided to reroute. We take strong exception for the reasons that they gave for the reroute. They gave 3 reasons, they being Mr. Nicholas, who gave direct testimony on this project. He gave 3 reasons, one of them being USDA hog barns. Those hog barns are Smithfield Foods hog barns. They needed to reroute for that reason. There was another house listed on Kent Lane, this is all in the testimony. On Kent Lane, they needed to gain more distance for that particular house, rightfully so. They rerouted and they got the distance to 1,250 feet for that particular house. And they avoided the USDA land. Okay, that brings you up to this point of the bottom red line. At that point, we don't have any problem with the reroute because it's justified. At that point, they break all of their own rules in going diagonally across the countryside, dissecting it. They don't follow property lines. They enter into property that wasn't notified. There was one person that was not notified at all, interestingly, because they were using 2020 and 21 data to notify people, old data. They didn't see this map. They didn't see that house on there. So we have strong exception to that reroute that leaves the study area for obvious reasons. And we propose that a short connection between there joins up with the original DO-27 on that front page again. From that point, from the bottom line up to that point, is a reasonable place to connect back into the DO-27. And then you've attained 1,250 feet from all residences in the reroute area. And so that's what we want. We want fairness for the house right here. And I've done my own measuring and I've done my own research, and there is one place to cross 46 Highway and gain 1,250 feet to all residences, and that happens to be where experts had determined was the right place to cross it, and that's on the original DO-27 right here within the study area. We believe that the route should be returned to the DO-27 in this particular area on the front page. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Harding, thank you for your testimony. It's very, very helpful. My question is, do I understand right that your property lies within what was a revised alignment that is DO-28? Is that correct? And when did you first become aware of the DO-28 realignment or proposed realignment?
Saturday morning, October the 5th. I remember it well. Can I tell you how I found out?
Please.
It wasn't from the notice that I got, because it was vague as all get out. I got 5 letters, obviously form letters, with 5 maps attached to the back, as other people will testify. No specificity within those maps at all. I couldn't find my farm on there. I dismissed them as since I got 5 of the same thing, and it wasn't even specific to this particular FDIM project. When you read it closely, that letter that should be in evidence at some point, that letter is the same letter that was sent to the one over by St. Louis and one for the substation. It's one letter that had no specificity, didn't alert anybody that the route had been changed. We gave it no thought because we knew that there was a line going there, and it says there's a line, you know, your property is along the line. It didn't say your property is now being impacted or anything close to that.
Gotcha.
So it was vague, yeah.
Do you know if you're the only impacted landowner along the revised?
I do know, and I'm not.
DO-28?
I do know, and I'm not the only one. There are.
Okay.
It's me and my wife, and she's home with the kids. And to add some, my daughter is here also. Will testify. It's her new house that was overlooked and not given any consideration in the evaluation or the maintenance of 1,250 feet. Her house is about 600 feet from the proposed line.
Thank you very much. That helps me.
Barry McClellan? If you can raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give are the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. What would you like to tell the commission?
Barry McClellan, B-A-R-R-Y, M-C-C-L-E-L-L-A-N. In regards to Ameren's comments about taking into consideration houses that people live in, I just would like to be put on the record that the proposed route that is there right now runs directly between my house and a neighbor of mine who is a little over a quarter of a mile away. So we're both probably within 400 feet of this existing line that they're wanting to, the proposed route. I also have built a driveway up there in this general vicinity in the hope someday that maybe one of my kids would come home and I could put a new house up there. If they would consider rerouting it 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile east, they wouldn't be around any houses. And I would just like for this to be put on the record. So I would like to politely ask them if they would consider rerouting it. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. Is there anyone else who would like to offer comments today? If you can come to the microphone. Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give are the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state and spell your name.
It's Rebecca McGinley, M-C-G-I-N-L-E-Y.
Okay. What would you like to tell the commission?
Well, there's been questions about how close the power line should be or should not be to people's homes. And I've read guidelines that suggest living at least 1,000 feet from high voltage lines to limit EMF exposure. So 1,000 feet is the guidelines that I've read. And I'm sure you're aware that EMF exposure can cause headaches, fatigue, stress, sleep disturbances, and things such as cancer. So studies have suggested that you're more likely to develop cancer if you're within the range of a transmission tower. And these are not just regular transmission towers. As you know, these are high-powered transmission lines that they're proposing going through the properties of the people that are here today. My husband and I have 2 children who are 6 and 8 years old, and we're planning to continue to raise our children on the farm that I was born and raised on. My family has owned this farm that they're proposing to run these lines through since 1970. We're simply asking that they move the line east instead of where they're currently proposing it. This would be a straight shot to Iowa and not the jagged course they're currently proposing that runs through my property and my home place. I've met with Ameren since last summer and shared my concerns with them. I've come to every meeting, I've sent emails. They've never changed any of their proposals. Their lines have always ran, so I didn't bring an exhibit to share with everyone, but for demonstrative purposes, I have that I can show you if I can approach.
Sure.
So the line that Ameren is proposing follows a track of the current electric lines that go from the Fairport station up to the Darlington station, and then from there going to Fairport. This is my home place. We're building a new home right now on our home place. It's less than 400 feet from this line. I've asked them numerous times to move it west, away from my home place, because again, we're building a home right here. There's no homes anywhere on this property. This is all farmland. Why can't they go farther west instead of where they're proposing it, knowing my home is right here? And if they have an easement, they can go either on, because they said tonight they're not going to put, I forgot what they called it, they're not going to do combo lines. That whatever study they've done to save costs, they're not going to do combo lines with the current electric lines that are running through. They're going to do lines adjacent to the current lines, so they could even go closer to my home. So my concerns is the safety. I've had this home place, it's been in my family since 1970. I'm building a new home. I'm raising my children there. I don't want these high-power transmission lines that close to my home where my children are, and my husband and I.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make comments today? Okay.
You didn't call on X.
Sure.
I didn't know if I wanted to put my name on there. I may not wish I was even here.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give are the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state and spell your name.
Brad, B-R-A-D, Gilbert, G-I-L-B-E-R-T.
Okay. You may proceed.
I don't really have too much of a statement or anything. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be asked within the Missouri Public Service Commission. You know, we could sound here as a people like a spoiled group. Our home, our future house, you know, to some we could. You look at the people living in the cities, especially in not so good parts of the cities where they got bars on the windows. I mean, I grew up 12 miles from any town. But the U.S. Constitution, through the Bill of Rights, guarantees me the right to own property, to control that property. Now, I know that in some cases, eminent domain is needed. But folks, I think it needs to be weighed real hard outside of listening to the lobbyists. Just what is right? What are the motives? We've all heard of BlackRock, Vanguard. We've heard of the possible conspiracies going on in Kentucky after the big hurricane. But what we do know is human nature is a constant. We're sinful. We're self-centered. Is this something that is really needed? Is it necessitated? Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak today? Okay. Ma'am, I saw you first in the back, and then, oh, sure. So two more. Right. Well, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're about to give are the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And would you please state and spell your name?
Sure. My name is Tracy Cass, Tracicass.
Okay. You may proceed.
My first comment is a broader comment. I've heard from several here today that they have been unsuccessful in having the line rerouted due to proximity to their residents. And specifically in the area 46, the reasoning for moving in that section was due to proximity to residences. So I'm concerned about why we're rerouting for some landowners in proximity to residences while neglecting the same feedback of other homeowners. So I just want that noted, that it seems to be unfair. And then a couple of comments from my situation specifically. I did not receive any notice on this. A neighbor let me know that it was impacting me. I reached out to Ameren directly and let them know of my property and my home. Upon that, they sent me a letter in November, but that's months after the public meeting, months after the opportunity to file as an intervener, months after it's already submitted as a docket. So I had no opportunity or no notification for my property specifically. When I contacted them, they were unaware that my house even existed. So there was clearly a reroute that occurred based on some landowner feedback, and no evaluation or due diligence was done on that reroute. Had there been any due diligence or even review of the situation, they would have seen a home sitting there. So there was a negligence when they made their decision to reroute. And then again, we moved it away from some, and as a result, put it much closer in proximity to my residence. And so I feel like there's some discrepancy in how we're treating residences across the board. The best path and the communicated path, the advertised path was identified, and we're not following that at all, so.
Thank you for your comments. I think there's one other woman in the far back. Yep. Would you raise your right hand?
This
Right.
is my right hand? Yes. I'm a school teacher, so when I say to my students, raise your right hand, I raise my left hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the comments you're about to give are the truth?
Yes.
Can you please state and spell your name?
Rochelle Hyatt, Rochelle Hiatt.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay. My husband and I own the property that is, that Mr. McClellan referred to, where our houses are very close together, within a quarter of a mile. The line will run very close to our property. We do have a new build planned in that vicinity. We also own the property that would be impacted should the line be moved towards the east. And I don't know how I feel about that. We haven't had an opportunity to speak with my husband about that. But I think wherein lies the problem is tonight might be the most information I've got thus far on this project. And so it's hard for me at this point to make a decision or make any decisions about how we would feel about having the line moved east of us or having the line actually where it's proposed to be now. We have lots of questions. We have livestock that would run across the east side if the line were moved east. I would have questions about ice falling from the lines and towers and what impact that would have. We have timber that we use for recreation on that property. We have ponds that run on the east side of the property as well. And so I think there are a lot of answers we don't have yet that we would like to have regarding that. So I guess my point is we feel like this is going to impact us in a big way. We haven't gotten all of the information, and I therefore don't know how I feel about having the lines moved east of us, and I don't like the idea of having multiple lines placed across the road from me where we are planning to do a new build. It'd be very close to our property. Thank you.
Thank you. And sir, Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're about to give are the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Can you please state and spell your name?
M.L. McCray, M-C-C-R-E-A. And I think my comments tonight would be that I look at this a little different than just where the line is rooted. I did not know much about it until I came tonight. I had received a letter once that said that my property would be impacted by the line. I can remember when there wasn't a Fairport substation. My one question is, how does Ameren get to run their power through the Fairport substation that I saw built by REA or NW? I wasn't aware that different power companies can go through the same substation. I would have to say that I've always been favorable to electricity. I can remember my dad telling of going to sell shares of REA when he was younger and worked all day and couldn't sell a share for $5. So I know the importance of having electric lines and getting electricity through the country. And I can remember when the power line that they're wanting to run by was built, because I can remember the substation at Fairport being built. And I remember the transformer coming by my bedroom because they couldn't get the transformer there any other way. So I think that all of this hasn't been conducted in a very mannerly way to tell people what is going on. And we had a proposal a couple of years ago that was to run across a different place. And besides that, we own land by the Fairport substation. And now I'm used to lines. Yeah, we've got 5 lines across us within a quarter of a mile. So I don't know where the truth lies in all this and what we ought to be thinking as in the future. Because the line that we have on us now has been there 70 years. And they've redone it. So we're looking at a 100-year proposal here. So are we doing the right things? Are we making the right proposals? Are we putting things in the right place? You've got to step back and look at this thing for a very long-term benefit for people. Because I think that's what the people did in 1952 when they built the Fairport substation, started out. But I don't have as friendly a feeling toward private companies as I do REA and NWs that brought power to the country. And the reason the power was brought to the country by REAs was because private companies wouldn't service the rural areas. So are we getting in that situation again? Is private companies the way we want to go? What happened with the co-ops? What happened with the REAs and the NWs? And as far as the maps, like the gentlemen have stated, aren't specific, and they've never bothered to contact a person or talk to them. I think that would be some of the things that should be thought about. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Sure.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. McCray. I appreciate them, and I appreciate your long-term perspective. You mentioned something that caught my ear, and it was that there are 5 different transmission lines within a quarter mile of one another in this area. Could you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Well, they come out of the Fairport substation and go west, and I just suppose they go towards St. Joe. I bought the piece of property probably about 10 years ago, and they were already there.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to give comments today? Sure, you can. Are you raising your hand? Yep. Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for the participants today for their testimony. If you have additional comments or someone who cannot be present but would like to comment, you may make written comments by going to the PSC's webpage, by contacting the Office of Public Counsel, or appearing at our other local public hearing tomorrow. This hearing is now adjourned. We are off the record. Thank you.